Namaste. Welcome back, beautiful souls. Cheers. This is going to be today the reading for the 21st Arcanum, the World card, or the Universe card, if your number is 21 for the year 2026. And it's been a pleasure doing these readings. I want to thank you for your feedback. And if you are not familiar with how I am approaching this year, please refer to the video that I did for the 10th Arcanum for the wheel, and then you'll get a better idea about the spread and so forth. And so let's turn to the cards. I'm going to use the Wee Moon Tarot for this reading. And in the description box below, I have some intentions, some prompts. There's quite a bit of information about setting yourself up for a tarot card of the year reading. And I will be doing a little bit of teaching as well while I do the reading. But in general, I want to kind of stay in the flow of the energy of this and deliver for you a coherent message. The Wheel of Life, this is called, instead of the Wheel of Fortune, and I kind of love that. Your number, so the 10th card is on the table because that is the year that we're in, 2026. 2 plus 2 plus 6 equals 10. And I'm working with the number 10 for this year, not reducing it to a 1. And this has a really lovely energy in that we are working with this sense of fulfillment. And your card 21 for this year is also an incredibly powerful card of change. And so to have the World card in a wheel year feels really special in a different way than I was speaking to for the 20th Arcanum. So the wheel, I wrote in the title of this one, Grand Finales. This is this place of honoring where you've been and all that you have done, readying yourself for this next part of your journey. And I hope that you enjoy this reading. The World card is connected to the planet of Saturn as well as the element of Earth. And I will be building in astrological connections and anything else that comes to mind as I'm spinning this tale for you. The moon today has moved from Leo into Virgo. The sun, of course, is in Capricorn. And we have a lot of pretty intense energy right now. So this is such a lovely time to be doing readings, and a very happy new year to each of you. Okay. I'd like to acknowledge this reading is happening on the 6th day of January 2026. And as always, may this message be in the highest for the greatest good, and let no harm be done. So be it. All right, so let's cut the cards and just ponder for a moment where the World card might be. These are larger cards. I'm just going to back out a little bit here. Quite emotional, could very well be in the pile of cups, and yet I'm thinking, now, I find cutting cards is such an interesting process. There's a relationship between the reader and the cards and just the energy of the moment. And you probably can't see on screen, but the cut for this pile and the cut for this pile were very thin. So there may not even be 10 cards in these two piles, maybe just. So let's look for the World card. The Great Mother is here. Tower, Magician, and the Charioteer. Very full pile of cards there. All right, where are you? Fool, Judgment, 5, Moon. Okay, so the World card is in neither of the receptive energies. And so I need to think about these two large piles. The one on the far left here is the fire pile, and this is the air pile. And why is the World card there? And what does that imply? What does that imply? I don't know. I just can't imagine that it is in the air pile. And if it is, I'm really going to have to think about that. Interesting, we have 9 of air on the bottom here. So let's just see where you are, and then I'll carry on with my ponderings. And hopefully I didn't miss it. Yeah, oh my goodness, the World card is at the top of the fire pile. Okay. The pile of fire speaks to the energy of fire, obviously, our dharma, our life path. It is a call to action. It is, and it has a initiating energy. And so with having the World card here at the very top of the fire pile, speaks to something. It's really calling attention to it. It is illuminated. There's something, it wants to be seen. There's something to be done, not hidden away. Right? And it feels like also in the suit of fire and the suit of life path, so to speak. This is a really important part of your process to bring attention to this culmination. So we have a year of culmination, and you have a theme of culmination. It's like you're bringing everything to the climax, really honoring that which is ready to come to a close. But it's really important that it is perhaps celebrated and at least recognized, taken very seriously. There is no place for any self-deprecation, an abundance of humility. I don't think so. I think you want to just really not only be grateful for how you've gotten here, but allow others to celebrate you as well. Now, on the bottom of this pile, hi Izzy, is the 9 of air, which has a very different keyword than you will see in Waite Smith inspired decks. And I just want to kind of speak to this prayer flags flying 9 of air energy and why this might be sitting down at the bottom. 9 of air, I think, is too quickly interpreted as a negative card. I feel like there is a lot of spiritual potential in the 9 of air. It is that place where we have an opportunity to break through and receive clearer communication from spirit, sitting one moment longer in your meditation, deciding to really take your breathing practice seriously and setting a time to do it every single day. I feel like the 9 of air is very much a breakthrough card. It is part of the Gemini group of cards, 8, 9, and 10 of air, the middle decan of Gemini. And this is a really important card for understanding who you are. It's kind of a deep level card. And I talk about this card at the bottom of the pile because it's the energy that's kind of holding all of this up. And so there's something to this, and I love that this one is prayer flags flying. I don't know if you've ever been in one of those places. It could be a retreat center, an ashram, a temple, where there's just bazillions of prayer flags flying, and some of them are old and tattered, and there's new ones, and the wind is blowing and the flags are flying, and it just feels so amazing. It feels like there's this connection between these physical cloth flags, the wind, the energy and spirit, and it's like, I don't know if you've seen the Tibetan prayer flags. They have the messages on them. It's like you're delivering these prayers, these messages to spirit, and they're in there. They're always being touched by the wind. It's such a lovely card. But your card is on the top of the pile. And so we're going to lay this one down in the center. And look at this beautiful illustration. This web, the world. And then we're going to place down 10 cards in a circle. Okay, so we have the Daughter of Water. I'll just name your first 3 cards. The Four of Water and the Air Crone. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've been peeking at the 11th card in a lot of these readings, and yours is the Ace of Water. Lovely number. And I think as a tipping off point for sort of the 11th card in your reading, this is an indicator of, indeed, that you are stepping forward in a new way, in a new flow. And so with Saturn and the Earth as the planet and the element for this particular card, there can be a weight to this. And hello to Jen, welcome. There can be a weight, a heaviness. Saturn is have quite a weighty energy to it. And the way that you move as a spiritual being through this 3-dimensional world, through the mundaneness of life, sometimes can feel really uncomfortable. And it is important that as you move through this year, that you find a way to, and of course you, being the person that you are, you honor cycles, you endeavor to allow yourself to be guided. There's some restrictions, there's some, I won't call them, they're not quite claustrophobic, but there are some boundaries that you have been struggling with. And that's one of the reasons this year you've got this card to think about boundaries and portals, gates and doors and windows. And I would certainly acknowledge these openings. It would be a lovely ritual if you could remember that this is your card of the year, and anytime you open a window, you close a door, you acknowledge this energetic action of openings and closings, being more aware of these subtle actions. Your first card is, and it's really interesting, it kind of looks like a world card, doesn't it? It's the Daughter of Water. And I leave this one up here. I think it's kind of significant. The path that you are stepping forward to takes you into a new flow. Now you can interpret that however you like, but I'm feeling like it might feel a little swift. It might be a little more mobile than you are at this time. It's feeling like maybe you haven't been playing with the flow of life. And that is why this card coming up in a wheel year, and the metaphor of the wheel for you, all things spherical, all things circular, all things that turn, feel like they are calling your attention. And there could be a level of education and study that is a part of this. The daughters are curious. The pages are curious. They want to learn, and there's no self-judgment. They just simply immerse themselves in their element. If you had a choice of vacation, I would go to the water. I would invite myself to the water. You want to get more comfortable with this element. If you're not a bath person, you're a shower person, that might be something you want to play with. And two, even if you are a shower person, how could you make your shower time more of a ritual, more of a cleansing, more of something special than something you rush through? Do you need to change the time of day that it happens? Do you need to change the lighting in your room? Do you need some fresh towels? Is there something you could do to honor the water? If you're fortunate and you live somewhere where it's warm this time of year, then there are other ways to connect with the water in nature. And I'm saying all this because this element it's going to be important for you to reconnect with. I don't think it's your go-to element. Who, after having been with some elders in South America, realized just how special water is. We don't have to go down the bank of the river and carry the water back in urns on our head. We simply turn on the tap and we have fresh flowing water for the most part. So she just expresses gratitude to the water every single time she turns on the water, whether she's washing dishes or brushing her teeth. Thank you. Thank you to the water. And I think that's just a really important thing we need to do more of. Now your second card, different keywords in this deck, and I will mention them, but as I weave the story, I think there's a lot of different ways we can interpret. When a deck invites in a different sort of energy, this, I think, adds to layers that you may already be familiar with. And yet it also can get confusing if you're not experienced in tarot reading. And this is the Four of Water. And the Four of Water, the key word in this one is riding the waves. And this one to me feels like a recognition of there's something going on in the heart space with lots of connections. You can see the Rod of Asclepius through the center. It's a very healing kind of card, but it's almost like you can see the energy bodies outside of the physical body. So you have the pranamaya kosha, the pranic layer, and then you have the manamaya kosha, the mental layer, and you can see these layers of the energy body here. You could look at it that way. You could also kind of feel a sensitivity to all of these energetic layers. And with the Four of Water there, now Four is also going to build a new relationship and a new foundation with water. And remember, I'm sure you've heard me say this before, Fours also create sacred space. And so this idea of more sacred space in bath time, more sacred space in shower time, to really honor the water feels like there's something to this. This is not a message of transforming through fire. Even though this was in the fire pile, there's something here about the water. So how can we put those two things together? Well, the learning to work with the energy of water is, can I say it's what you're supposed to be doing? I don't like to, have that kind of prescriptive message, but it's an element that is going to serve you in a way that you may not even realize. Like it's a very special element for you energetically. So if you haven't been playing with the water, doing ritual with water, this is something you might want to start to do. It's going to really help you move through and clear things. So you're building this new path with water, this new relationship with water. And it's going to help you to step through this portal that is the World card. It's going to help you to honor and be a part of this completion that is happening for you in 2026. The Crone Sage. So this is the fourth arcana in this deck. And really interesting keyword. It says something about what does it say? The changer and the changed. What I was thinking about was all that a Queen of Swords type has been through. They've seen it all. And remember too that historically the relationship between water and air has been reversed. And there's a really interesting connection between water and air. Even things like the art of sword making, right? Swords, or just the smithy in general, that the metal is cooled in water. There's this really interesting relationship between metal and water, swords and water, air and water. But this crone sage has developed a very strong sense of independence because of all of the trials and tribulations that they have been through. And so this first group of cards, I should really turn this over so you don't get distracted, is I don't even know how to say this. Like, I feel like there's this web of information here that is kind of outside of normal connections you would make in a reading. You do have a mother and a daughter. And I don't know if you know about that connection, but Saturn is the planet that is connected to Binah, the third Sephira, and the Tree of Life, and that is the home of the mothers, the queens. And the 10th Sephira is the home of the pages, in this case, the daughters in this deck. And so there's a really interesting kind of tug here between mothers and daughters. And perhaps part of your shift is in this relationship between mothers and daughters. This opening, this awakening, this healing that is being suggested is happening between mothers and daughters. And all of the themes that are connected between those two. I kind of like how this Four of Cups is reaching out a hand, one hand to the mother and one hand to the daughter. Now the astrology in this tarot deck is a little bit different, but in the Golden Dawn astrology, the Four of Cups is certainly part of the Cancer story, which is part of the healing of the maternal wound. Queen of Swords there, let's not forget, she has an affinity to water. All of the queens have that element of water that they hold third Sephira, Great Sea of Binah. So that school certainly has that there. But across all teachings of the tarot, I don't know one school that doesn't put the element of water with all of the queens. And we forget sometimes that this Queen of Air does have this lovely vessel within her as well too. And so there's kind of a fierce sense of independence, and that might be part of the struggle, part of this boundary, maybe a level of protection that's wanting to soften and get rinsed away. This may simply be about softening into yourself, letting hard edges fall away. And we know the water is very good at helping things to round and to smooth and to soften. So lots of potential ways for you to approach 2026. I was going to turn over a bunch of cards, but I want to speak to this 3 of air. Because she's certainly connected to the crone air, the crone. And this deck has a lovely interpretation. So 3s are a number of growth and expansion. 3s are connected to all of the queens through that Sephira. 3s are about creation and building. And so there is something here that is wanting to expand and heal. And if we allow, also the element of air is heart space, right? So the element of the mind, the element of the Agnya chakra, the third eye chakra, is all of the elements. It's the heart space, the Anahat chakra, that is the element of air. And you know that in many tarot decks, this is a heart that is pierced by 3 swords. So we grow through these challenges. We grow through all of this. And it feels like this is a portal that you are indeed stepping through at this time. Maybe there was a loss of a female member of your family. Maybe there was not enough time to heal the sorrow between you and your grandmother. If you don't know a lot about your female lineage, this might be a time to do some work in that regard. Mending the web, restorative justice. Another daughter, so that's the earth daughter. The hanged one, which is Golden Dawn Associations, that is primordial water. And then we have 2 of air, which looks like a conversation between sisters. Okay. Bringing in that rainbow in the Justice card makes it look a lot like a Temperance card. This deck calls it restorative justice. Justice goes by other names as well: adjustment and karma. And I'm looking at all of that water in that card, and I'm thinking, wow, okay, so this is likely speaking to Swadhisthana, sacral chakra. I've just been picking up mother-daughter stuff here. This might even go further. So this is issues of sacral chakra. So why am I going here? Karmas. Justice card is often called the karma card. It's connected to karmas. Karmas live in the sacral chakra. Sacral chakra is the element of water. It's the chakra through which we are birthed. We are born. This is about our moon cycle. This is about our birth experience. This is about our experience in the womb. And there's something here when I'm reading, I'm trying to connect all of the cards together, not just tell you things about individual cards. We have mothers, we have daughters, we have a particular deck that is chosen, that is delivering this message to you about healing this aspect of relationship in your life. And you have the water daughter and the earth daughter. And the earth daughter looks like she has created a viracocha around her, which is that practice where you you can take one hand and sweep it around, but you just create a protective circle around yourself. Some people call it an egg. And you can do this around yourself. You can do this around your home, your community. You can do it around a group of people that you're gathering with. And it looks like she's just honoring that space and that level of protection. And all of that really kind of points back to the whole Saturn idea, which is about your relationship with your space, with boundaries. How does this connect with what's going on with sisters, mothers in your life? And maybe this is mothers once removed. When I say the word mother, I think of all the mothers that I grew up with. I called them aunties, but they were like mothers. Roles. Is this about roles? Is this about connecting with mothers and women in general to do things in a different way? I was at a Christmas party, and it's funny that a couple of the women suggested, well, why don't we get together and do things and make things? We all have these gifts to share and teach each other. And if we all get together and create, then we all have something, and we learn something, whether we make some food, or I made some of those homemade crackers where you make the cracker and you bake it in a loaf pan, and then you slice it and you bake it a second time with nuts and dried fruits and things. And people said, I would love to get together and do that. Or candle making. I love to do candle making. And so there's something here about getting together and connections. Hi, Lucas. Welcome. All right. So primordial water. Keyword on this is chrysalis. And that's kind of a potent word to be part of your world story for 2026. And I want to go back to this card that I peeked at, your 11th card. It's like you're being birthed into something new. You're being reborn. This is an opportunity to, shed that profession that you never really connected with, shed that relationship, shed that town that has become toxic. I don't know what it is for you, but there's something that and it's going to take some time, because this is a year-long project. This is not January, February, March, April, May, June. That's not how this works. This is a story of an energy that Spirit suggests cultivating as part of your growth and your wellness, awareness at this time. There will be different approaches. There will be different opinions. You have the 2 of air, the 3 of air, the king of air. There's a great deal of reflection And yet I keep going back. This feels very heart-centered, which is the element of Tiferet. It is the element of the Anahat chakra. And you've got the Fire Queen. This is the Sun card. And part of my preparation coming into these readings is simply to pull out the wheel card from the deck and get it on the center of the table. And this is a card that is sort of painted in my brain. I associate with this deck. And I went for this card and then I went, oh, that's not the wheel card. That's the Sun card. So I put it back in and shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And lo and behold, it's part of your reading. But doesn't it look like a wheel card with the 4 directions, the 4 points, and so forth? This is a great deal of illumination and life force. It reinforces the idea that this particular energy was in the fire pile. So let's go back to that. Why is this whole reading in the fire pile? What is that layer about? We all have certain life paths, certain purposes for being here. And I think that we often feel there's a lot of detours along the way, and some can be really hard sometimes to get back on track. And I feel like this year for you is a lot of self-correction in that way, getting you back on a path that is a part of your healing journey. And that's getting back to the water. And so the element of fire here, sure, it may be kicking you in the pants, but it's redirecting you sort of back to what you have been distracted from. And the Sun is a very harmonizing energy, of course, as well, too, for all of this water that is being suggested here. I can't get away from this mother-daughter thing that's going on. So you have a fire matriarch and you have an air crone. So in this deck, all 4 court cards are feminine energy. It feels like there's the leadership, but a great deal of respect for the junior feminine archetype as well, too. You have the earth daughter and the water daughter, the fire queen and the air crone. And so they're all here with you and asking you to take a good look at your relationship with this female archetype and the connection between them. And what ties this all so beautifully together is this Saturn connection. Okay, so once again, 3rd Sephira on the Tree of Life, Binah, is connected to the planet of Saturn that is the home of all the queens. The pages are in the 10th Sephira of Malkut, which is seen as this third 3-dimensional world. The world card, the path of the world card goes down to Malkut, and the world card itself is connected both to Saturn as a planet and Earth as an element. And so you have this powerful page queen dynamic that's going on here. You, in 2026, are exploring the significance of this as you pass through into, I don't know, a new perspective, but I feel like there's actually a physical step that you will be taking. And this is a cleansing, it's a clearing, it's an opportunity to let go of layers that you have held onto, probably, for decades. And so be in the element of water, cleansing through water, honoring that in ritual. there's another piece. So many things. I mean, I could talk for 2 hours here, but I must wind up. Last thing I'm going to say too. Saturn is also connected to father. And it feels like father wanted to show up in the reading. So you also have father, daughter in that regard. If I was just to put it together in one sentence, I think that 2026 is about redefining your family relationships, your family roles. Knowing they are, I said this in another reading, we don't know what our parents went through, really, why they are the way they are. Our kids have their own karmas to deal with. We don't know all of the layers of that. So there's a real sacredness in honoring all of these relationships. It's like, I feel like you're kind of growing up in relationship. Yeah, no, you're not. Yeah. So take from this what you will, and please come back if this is your card for 2026 and leave me a message. Let me know if you have any questions, any cards you would like me to expand on discussing, and I'm very happy to do that. Okay? Have a lovely rest of your day, and thanks for being here. Namaste.